Hello and welcome everyone. This is a follow-up video to my 1000 subscriber special in which I showed you how I built a MIDI triggered ADSR envelope generator, because I added more features in the meantime and I will also produce more videos about it in the next time. This video specifically will be about the Legato feature. First of all, I want to show you the difference between Legato on or off. This is Legato on. You can see the modulation here and also in this GUI, and you can see the effect that it has on the plugin of a different track. But now I turn Legato off. You can see that there was a difference, and the reason for that is that I intentionally made some of the notes not reach till the next note, but others not. And in cases like these, a note off signal comes before a note on signal comes. But in a case like this, a note off signal comes and for the same sample a note on signal comes immediately. So if Legato is enabled, then that means that these two notes are connected, so that this note does not trigger the envelope again into the attack state, but just goes on with whatever state is currently in it already. So I can tell you in this sequence that is pretty repeating, I always have this note and this note be a note that is definitely triggered, and these two notes are always the one that are Legato if Legato is enabled. Needless to say, this is a very useful feature in most synthesizers, and that's why I will show you now how I did it in the code. If you don't know this header file envelope generator.h yet, you should watch my other video about this envelope generator so that you have the fundamental basis for this video. Now I will show you the difference, what happened in the meantime to these classes. So I'm here in the envelope generator MIDI class. Most of the stuff is still the same, like I'm getting all these parameters moving down and stuff. Then if the MIDI buffer is empty, then the envelope generator just does what it did the last time, puts that into the buffer. But if the MIDI is not empty, then something else happens. It starts by setting the Legato variable in the envelope generator to whatever the Legato parameter currently is. And you can see that is already different from how it worked the last time, because it didn't have a Legato parameter. Now everything in this loop is pretty similar, but there is a little difference, which is that if a message is a note on or off message, then I am not just overwriting the note on variable in the envelope generator, but I call the set note on method, which does a little bit more than that, which you will see very soon. Apart from that, everything is still the same as before. Now what does the set note on method actually do? First of all, it does what it also did before, just setting the note on to whatever you put in there. But then, if we're not in Legato mode and this is a note off signal, then we are triggering release from this method, and that's a special thing, because before that was a thing, we only triggered release from the other methods, like from synthesize attack, synthesize decay, synthesize sustain, and yeah, you cannot trigger release from release. So the new trigger release section now has two different methods. One that actually has the sample index input, and that is the method that can only be called from the synthesize methods, and one that can also live without changing the sample index, which just puts the current envelope into the note off value to make it get ready for the note off stage, setting the env raw to 0 because we're entering release mode now, and yeah, of course setting it to release mode. And that is actually what makes it different from Legato mode, because in Legato mode you would override the node off signal with the node on signal immediately. It would just not even notice that something has happened when processing the envelope the next time, because as you know, there is this while loop where I'm going through all the events of this sample, and only when that is finished the envelope generator does its thing, so it wouldn't even notice that something happened. That way, when it reaches the synthesize methods the next time, it actually is in release mode, and even if then the first thing that it does is going back into node on mode, that would mean that it's now in attack state and not in any of the other states where it might have been before. And that's why this triggers the non-legato mode. Alright everyone, I think that's enough for today. Next time I will probably show you how I made this little interface which lets you change the parameters of this envelope freely, including modulation of course.